pulled out some of my green, yeah, some of my palettes that have green in them. Okay, Jen. Hey everybody, today we are talking green. We are talking Chanel green to be specific. So I recently did a video with the Chanel spring collection. I know it's December, but you know, but there are a few spring collections that have already come out. Chanel is in boutiques right now. I'll let you know as soon as it hits Chanel online. It has been released in little dribs and drabs on Saks. The green is sold out, the green liner and the green shadow, but I promise you that it will be available. That was just the very initial, probably too early launch. I have a feeling that they released it on Saks before they were probably supposed to, because Chanel.com doesn't even have it yet. So today we are going to look at those two shades. We're going to look at the Menthe, which is a satin shade. And we'll have close-ups and swatches for you guys, but this is the shade. And here is the liner. And this is in Vert Lagon. And I will compare it on my face with many, many other green shades. And when I say on my face, I'm gonna put it here so you guys can see it. So I don't have any blush on. I do have foundation on. I have a little bit of bronzer so I don't look like I'm gonna, you know, pass out at some moment. I'm so pale that honestly, when I don't wear any like bronzer or blush, sometimes people ask me if I'm ill. I'm like, no, just pale. Let's start with the liner. Again, this is a Vert Lagon, and I'm just gonna literally draw it on my face so you can see what it looks like. It's a beautiful green. I think it's almost, it has a little bit of blue to it, in my opinion, I think. So let's compare it to some Chanel green liners of old. So we have Legendary Green, much deeper, almost like a forest green. And don't worry, I'll make sure to zoom in on this so you can see it. We have Jade, which is a very old shade, which is a lighter, almost minty green. We have Khaki Intense, which I'd say is definitely more of that khaki, a little bit of the olive. We have Jungle Green. Put it over here. I think the Jungle Green looks a little bit more like the khaki. It has a little bit more green, more blue in it than the khaki. Then we have Khaki Metal, which is a lighter, almost olive. And then we have Vert Emerald, which I think is still available in stores, which is probably the closest, or maybe the Jade, of the Chanel waterproof liners. Then a couple of my other favorite liners that I wanted to show you. There's Chanel, this is Black Jade. This is their regular pencil, their kohl pencil. And I'd say this shade is more like the khaki shades. You know, it's got more of that warmth to it. It has like more of an olive almost. And talking about olive, here is the Chantecaille Olive Brocade. This is one of my favorite shades of all time. Can you see how it has like a metallic though in it? This is a great shade. If you don't own this and you're a lover of green. Then there's the Victoria Beckham Olive, which is a much deeper, this is probably the most foresty of all of them. This one is, you know, pretty green, legendary green, but it has almost a black to it, whereas the olive from Victoria Beckham, I would say, is almost like evergreen shade. We have the Charlotte Tilbury. One side is a matte, And the other side is a metallic. This is her green pencil. We have Tom Ford's Metallic Moss, which again, one of my favorites. It's just a unique shade. It almost has like a gray to it. And then last but not least, this is an old MAC shade called Devotion. Let's put it, and it's similar to Metallic Moss, which is why I bought it back in the day. So if you look at the new shade here by Chanel, this is Vert Lagon. I think it has more of a bluish tone than practically any other shade in here. These are the greens. Now I do have some blues that might look a little bit like this, like a teal almost. I'll have to look at the blues. But I'd say that the closest one is actually Jade, which is a very old shade from Chanel. Doesn't exist anymore. But I think when you look at these two, the undertones are similar. See this? I'm just drawing it right next to it. See what I mean? It's a lighter shade, but the undertones are similar. Not the same, but I think there's a little bit more blue to the Vert Lagoon. Like you know, like a lake, like a lagoon. Has a little bit more of that blue greenish water shade, whereas some of the other greens are more olive or more, have more black in them or more gray. But you can just see, you know, when I say I like green, look at how many greens there are. If I had to say what my favorite ones are, the Tom Ford Metallic Moss is a favorite. The Chantecaille Olive Brocade might be my favorite of all time. It has a metallic shimmer to it that no other green liner has that I own. Like honestly, it's beautiful. Legendary Green is a great shade because it's such a deep green that I really do like it. The Victoria Beckham Olive is also phenomenal because it's this like beautiful forest. I mean, I can't say there's one that I don't like because they're all green, so I love them. But I would just, you know, point out that they're all different. Like there's not one green that's exactly like another. So I'm going to line my eyes with this so you can see what it looks like on my eyes. And then we'll wash, actually, you know what? We'll wash this off, then we'll line my eyes with it. I think this green is going to work on a lot of people because it has a coolness to it that it's going to make your eyes look a little bit whiter. I also think because of the nature of the green, it's not yellowish at all. Some of the olive tones can look a little yellow on certain people. I think this one you will not have any of those problems. Little side note here about like mature skin. If you want to fast forward through this part because you don't have heavy eyelids, please feel free. So insider tip. If you have a heavy eyelid and you always have like transfer for your liner goes to your upper lid, I'm going to do some videos where I have some suggestions on how to prevent that. But to be honest, there's no way to completely prevent it unless you have a completely transfer-proof product on your eye. These liners by Chanel are waterproof and generally they stay, but they're not completely transfer-proof. So when I say transfer-proof, it has to literally say transfer-proof. There are some liquid eyeliners that do. They dry down and they do not move, but they can be irritating to an eye. So that's the trade-off. But if you're somebody who really likes this type of liner or any other type of liner and you do have a heavy lid, one of the ways to prevent it from transferring is to not really have it on your lid. What that means is tight lining. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's snowing. Sorry, I just looked out the window. I'm like, it's snowing. Tight lining can be a little disconcerting because you're lifting up your eyelashes, okay? And you're kind of going, but really what you're doing is kind of going at the base of your lash. So it's not so much that you're inside your lid of your eye as if it's really more like you're just getting the underneath of your lashes. Now, if you're somebody who maybe has less than perfect 20/20 eyesight, use a huge magnifying mirror. That's what I do. I mean, my vision right now is 20/20, but I still have a 10x mirror to do this because, you know, it's a small space. So you can literally just go in between your lashes, and my lashes are pretty long, so it's actually a little more difficult because there's not a ton of space and they're thick. So you'll see me blink a couple times, but see how I tight lined that eye? There's liner there. It's not as thick as if I put it, you know, like this, which I'm about to do over here, but that's okay. Like, the whole point of liner, honestly, is to make your eyes stand out and to make your lashes, the base of your lashes, look longer. So it doesn't have to be super thick. There are certain looks where you have a very thick liner, but you just don't have to do those. Like, you don't, you know, just because one person does their makeup one way doesn't mean you have to do it. You know, if everybody has super thick eyeliner, doesn't mean you want super thick eyeliner or that you even like it. I mean, again, I think it's all personal style. And the next tip about the heavy lid, when you're doing if you want to do a little bit of a wing, which does lift your eye up, literally draw a line, and you can erase it later. You can just, you know, take makeup remover or concealer or whatever you want. Draw a line from the bottom of your, like where your lash line is on the bottom, to your brow. And then literally just go up. And if you're like me and you have a little bit of like loose skin, that's fine. Just do it like in pieces. You see how that lifted that eye up? And just make a little line. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can fix it later. And see how now my eyes look a little bit more lifted? And it's tiny. It's a tiny little line. You don't have to have this huge, enormous wing. All right, so this is a beautiful green. I do like this Vert Lagon. Like I said, it's currently sold out at Saks, but we're gonna see it everywhere. But I still would say it is gonna be the liner, that's the liner that's gonna sell out first. Okay, next let's go to the shadow. This is the Menthe Menthe. Let's try it. Let's get an actual, just like, see how this is supposed to be pronounced. So Menthe means mint water. Interesting. Okay, mint water.
Menthe. Menthe.
Menthe. I do a terrible job, I know, guys, but I hear it. It just doesn't come out right. Menthe. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing I did over here. We're gonna put it on my face. Ooh, that's pretty. It's a really mint water. That's an interesting choice. And tell me, the people out there who speak French, sometimes the translator is not correct. So it says mint water, but that might be wrong. It's almost a little metallic mint shade. I think it's like the shade that I don't have from Chantecaille every time. It's the, I just forgot the name of it. The single shadow that I mentioned that I had, and then I lost one and I never bought another one, and it's sold out completely. It's in the Positano collection. What was the name of that? Don't you hate it when your brain just shuts off in the middle of like thoughts? Anyway, that shade, Mare, that shade, I think it was like this. I think it was. So I'm glad I have this one, but anyway, all right. So I have some single shades that I thought might be close. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pop Shot in Emerald Eyes. I think this is gonna be brighter, but more emerald and definitely more sparkly. By the way, if you're looking for like a really sparkly single shadow, the Pop Shots are the way to go. I did a thing about single shadows. These are super metallic, super like shiny. Then we have the Regal Emerald from Chantecaille. This has a similar finish almost. Well, no, this is still more metallic. The Chanel is more luminous. Now remember, the Chanel is a satin. It's not a metallic, it's a satin. So the Chantecaille is more metallic. Beautiful, but just a different finish. All right, it is really coming down out there. I didn't know we were going to get snow today. Okay. Sicily, metallic khaki. You never know in New England. That's the thing, right? You just, I mean, so much, you know, you just kind of have to guess. Like, you're like, will it snow today? Will it be 60? Who knows? Okay, this is one of my favorite shades from Sicily Single Shadows. Now this one, yeah, it's metallic. But you can see the Pop Shot is much more shimmery metallic, and the Chantecaille is actually more shimmery, or more metallic actually, than even the Sicily. Okay. There's like a ton of snow outside. I'll have to like film a shot of it so you can see what I'm talking about. This is an old Tom Ford liquid, well, it's cream. It's a cream shadow, and then it has a powder on top. I love these. I did a reel with this with like the black one forever ago, and it was like my most watched video ever, which I find interesting. But anyway, it's a pretty green. Notice that they're all deeper, though. This one like is more minty. Like the liner. Has more of that little bit of blue, a little bit of like lagoon kind of shade. All right, so then I pulled out some of my green, some of my palettes that have green in them. Okay, Jen. This one is a Chanel one. This is an old one. This is one of the 9 pans. Chanel, if you're listening, I know you're not, but bring back the 9 pans. Blazy, bring back the 9 pans. This does have a couple of greens in it, and I was thinking maybe this one might maybe have a similar. Yeah, I love the 9 pans. I think they're awesome. Let's put it here. Oh yes, that is similar. Not the same, but similar. See? Okay, let's see what we got next here. I have a lot. Every time there's a green palette, I buy it. So that's, you know, I got a ton. There's the Tom Ford Velours Khaki. Now, the only shade that I think will even be close in this one is the olive one, but I still think it'll be, I think all of them are going to be too deep, but yeah. It's beautiful though. The Velours Khaki is stunning, but these shades in here are much more like olivey. I'll be really interested to see what the olive smoke that's coming out from Tom Ford, which is coming out for spring. It looks like a fall palette to me, but I guess the thing is it will be fall in Australia. So maybe that's the market, I don't know. But the point is, olive smoke seems to me like it would be similar to Velours Khaki because khaki and olive have similar tones to them. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. All right, so then we have Hermes. This is the Ombres Vegetales. We'll see if this green, I think this green is going to be too bright, but you know, again, yeah. It's a much like more, if I was still working with my paints, I would remember the shade, but it's a much brighter green. It's a much more like vibrant green. It's a beautiful green, but again, I think a lot of people, and again, this is just my take on what I see and what I hear from all of you, this green is going to be more of an accent for a lot of people, whereas the olives, more people are willing to wear all over their eye, and I think this mint shade people are going to be willing to wear over their eye. So I think these 2 shades from Chanel, the liner and this Menthe are going to be very popular because they are more wearable in a lot of people's minds. I think that's how people will interpret it anyway. Okay, let's see. We've got the Chanel 5 pan from last holiday. I'm having the hardest time getting these plastic things out. Like, I'm just like, my nails do not make it easy. Okay, there's a greenish shade in here. Again, this is an olive. I don't think, yeah. Beautiful shade, but nothing like the Menthe that this new shade is. More of an olive, but gorgeous. If you didn't get your hands on the Chanel holiday last year and you can find it somewhere, I would strongly recommend it. It's a beautiful Beautiful 5-pan. All right, we have the Prada. This is in number 4. That's the cover. There we go. So the green in here, I think it's similar to the green in the Hermes, but it is also a soft matte. So let's see. Yep, it's similar to the Hermes. You can see it's very similar. The Hermes and the Prada are almost identical. The difference is the Hermes is a stronger shade, like a more pigmented, brighter shade, but it's basically the same. This is just a different formula. We have Clé de Peau. This is the Ocean. I don't remember the name. I'll put it. You know, they don't have them on the packages because these are refillable, so it's on the back of this. What was in? Let me pull it out because now it's gonna bug me. I have to know. It is Seagrass. I think I would remember that, but no. All right, let's try. None of these shades are gonna be. Now, none of these shades are gonna be like it, but yeah, Seagrass is definitely a yellower seagrass. It's, you know, it's got a yellower, almost olivey, khaki kind of tone. All the shades in here do. 2 more to go. We have 2 Dior palettes. One is Nightbird because there's a green in here that I thought might be close. Pretty, but deep. And it's in my smile line. So let me try to. Great color, but still not like the mint. I'm gonna have to keep looking. And if you guys can think of any, because I mean, if you've been watching for a while, you know I have a lot of palettes. So maybe I'm just missing the mint shade somewhere, but I don't think I have like as many mints. I didn't look in the huge palettes that I have. I did look in Byredo. I didn't see it in any of the Byredos, but I didn't look in the Natasha Denona ones. There might be one in there, or Pat McGrath. That's possible. All right, this is Jungle. All of these I think are gonna be too yellow. Yeah, that is the lightest one. But I think you see all of the ones that I have are either more olive in tone or khaki in tone, or they're like a bright true green, almost like a Kermit green, or, you know, like they're not really this minty kind of shade. I really don't think I have, again, I have so much makeup now, guys. I have actually thought about reorganizing all my makeup and doing it in colors. I'd still keep like the really big palettes separate, but like the quads and the quints and those types of things, and single shadows, whatever, I think I might do like an all green drawer and an all blue drawer, or maybe several all green and several all blue. But I feel like, you know, when I go looking for makeup, I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, I want Dior. I'm thinking I want green, or I want pink, or I want purple. And it's harder for me to remember like the names. I have so much now. What's green and what's blue and what's, you know what I mean? Like, yes, if I look at Seagrass, I'm going to remember it's green, but I don't necessarily remember that Nightbird is green. Like in this case I did, but my point is like, I don't always remember the names correspond exactly to the color because I have so many. So what do you think about that idea? And have any of you done it? Does it work? Okay. So like I said, I think this shade is like the Chantecaille, if I remember correctly, it's like the Chantecaille Mare, which I don't have, but definitely want. If any of you ever see it on like eBay or something, let me know, please, because I would love to own it again. Okay, let me wash this part of my face off and then we'll put it on my eyes. Mascara always pulls everything together for me. I mean, personally, I'm one of those people that's a big believer in mascara. Like if I've said it before, and I said it in my 10K giveaway video, if there was like 3 products that I couldn't do without, one of them is mascara. Because I always feel like once I put a mascara on, my look just looks like I look more together. So I use the Chanel mascara, by the way. And Chanel mascara is more of like a fluffy, volumizing mascara, but it does lengthen. And it's actually a fantastic mascara. I've used it for years. I really like it. It's just not my favorite, but I think it's really good. It's not particularly, I don't think it's particularly lengthening. My lashes are long, so, you know, I wouldn't go on like how long mine look with it, but I do really think it's a good mascara. So my thoughts overall about the greens in this collection, the Vert Lagon and the Menthe. I really love these two shades. I think they work extremely well together. I think they've been made perfectly where the liner is just a little bit deeper than the shadow, so you can wear them together like I just did today and have a very monochromatic but beautiful look. It has a bluish, a little bit of luminosity, but it's not a metallic. I think it's very wearable, and I think it's very different than all the other shades that I own. I do, in the back of my mind, think it's like Mare from Chantecaille. If any of you out there have it, let me know what you think, but I do think there's a similarity here. And I just think it's a beautiful shade for spring. I think it's just perfect. It's honestly one of my favorite greens that Chanel has done. I think it's unique. When it comes to how you might want to wear this, I have done the liner and the shadow all over the eye, and I think you could absolutely do this. I think many of you out there will be like, I don't know if I could do all green. It's such a minty, light, almost foamy green, mint water, that I think you'd be surprised. Now, especially since I went in with a Kolinsky brush, which pulls out a lot of pigment. If you went in with a much fluffier brush, I think you'd get more of a sheer application, and I think you could just go in with something like that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I absolutely love it. I think these are great. Different from anything else that I have in my collection right now, so thrilled to have them. And yes, I am buying backup of the liner. I don't know details on whether or not these things are permanent part of the line yet. I don't think they are. I think these are limited edition, and I think they will go away, but I'm happy to be incorrect, and so I will find out as soon as I can for you. I also want to mention I'm going to do a fragrance every time I do a review, and from some of your feedback. And the one I'm wearing today is Victoria Beckham's 2150. And this is her description. It says that Victoria Beckham extracts the luxuriant ambience of Java nights in the memory of 2150 reverie. The grassy scent of tobacco leaves carried by candles in the tropical evening wind, the plush trace of plum on the lips of another, the earthy rawness of vanilla pods and tonka beans blending with the cedar wood of the land. This is a stunning scent. Like, it really is beautiful. It comes to me as more of a tonka vanilla, but I definitely get the cedarwood in there a little teeny bit, and tobacco. It's light though. The tobacco's very light, but you can sort of sense it in the background. It's interesting. It's almost like you don't necessarily smell it, but your brain kind of goes, oh, is that a like cigar a little bit? But it's very, very light. I don't really get the plum, to be honest, but there is a little bit of a sweetness. So maybe that's what the plum is. And it's also very much a skin scent. So when I first sprayed it on, I was walking around with it and I didn't really smell it. I was kind of like, oh, that's disappointing. It kind of just went away. But then as I was filming and moving my hands around, because I talk with my hands, I was like, what is that really great smell? I was like, wow, that smells fantastic. Then I realized that I had put this on and that it sort of like lingers on you. It's almost like when, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but like when you walk by somebody who smells fantastic and you smell it for a little while, that's what it was almost like. So it's like you don't smell it continuously on you, but then you go to like move your hand or you do something and it comes back to you. I love this scent. I'm very surprised because I didn't really, not that I love Victoria Beckham's brand and I use a lot of her products, but I just didn't, it came to perfume, that's not how my mind instantly went to, okay? I wasn't like, oh yes, Victoria Beckham perfume. It is expensive. 100 milliliters is $200. I have a lot of perfume, so I probably won't purchase it right away, but I think this is one that I would buy. It's really a stunning, sexy skin scent. It kind of reminds me a little of the Merit Retrospect in the sense that it's like this sensual, sexy, like skin. It just sort of develops, but it's It's tonka and vanilla at its core, which are some of my favorites. It's light though. It's not heavy at all. So you could wear it year round. And anybody who likes those notes, you'll love this. I mean, honestly. But again, it's light. It's not a heavy scent at all. It's not like the 80s and 90s where you had like Obsession and Angel, which literally a group of 50 people could smell it, you know, around you. It's not like that at all. It's the polar opposite. But it has some longevity. Like it's got some oomph to it. So even though it's a light scent and a skin set, it stays, it sticks. So I'm impressed. Yeah, and I think a man could wear it too. I think it's very unisex. Because it's got a touch of sweetness, but not overly sweet. So that's all my details for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in another video really soon.